The afternoon sun filtered through the blinds of my small Brooklyn apartment, casting long shadows across the stack of bills on my kitchen table. I sat there, nursing my third cup of coffee, when my phone buzzed. Sarah Chin's name lit up the screen. My college roommate who'd moved to Manhattan's Upper East Side after marrying into old money. "Emma, you have to come to my sister-in-law's wedding next month. I already RSVP'd for you as my plus one." Sarah's voice bubbled through the speaker before I could even say hello. I glanced at my work uniform hanging on the back of my Dora, simple black polo with Marco's Diner embroidered on the pocket. "Sarah, I don't know. Those kinds of events aren't really my scene anymore." "Don't be ridiculous. It'll be at the plaza. When else will you get to experience something like this? Besides, I miss you. We barely see each other since I dropped out of Columbia to take care of Mom during her cancer treatment. Since Dad's construction business went under. Since everything changed, I'll think about it," I said, though we both knew Sarah wouldn't take no for an answer. 3 weeks later, I found myself standing in front of my closet, every piece of clothing I owned spread across my bed. The wedding was tomorrow, and nothing looked right. Everything was either too casual or showing its age. I'd been putting every extra penny toward Mom's medical bills and Dad's business debts. Designer clothes were a luxury from another lifetime. I settled on a navy blue dress I'd bought 4 years ago for job interviews. It was simple, clean, and the only thing that still fit properly. I spent an hour trying to steam out the wrinkles with the bathroom running hot water. The small apartment filling with humidity. The next morning arrived with unseasonable October warmth. I took the subway from Brooklyn, transferring twice. My feet already aching in the only pair of dress shoes. I owned black pumps from Payless that I'd superglued the heel back on twice. The Plaza Hotel loomed before me like something out of a movie. Doormen in pristine uniforms opened gold-trimmed doors, and I suddenly felt like I was wearing a sign that said "I don't belong here." My dress, which had looked acceptable in my dim apartment, now seemed to scream discount rack under the crystal chandeliers. "Emma." Sarah waved from across the palatial lobby, resplendent in a rose-gold dress that probably cost more than my rent. She air-kissed my cheeks, her perfectly manicured nails catching the light. "You look, comfortable." That word, comfortable, the polite way of saying underdressed. The ceremony space was a study in excess. Thousands of white orchids cascaded from the ceiling, and each chair was draped in silk with crystal brooches. I slid into my assigned seat, trying to make myself invisible as women in designer gowns floated past, their jewelry catching the light like tiny stars. "Is that from Target?" a voice behind me stage whispered. I turned to see 2 women, both in their 30s, examining me with the kind of look usually reserved for something stuck to the bottom of a shoe. "The dress," the blonde one clarified, as if I might not understand. "It's so practical." Her friend, a brunette with extensions that probably cost more than my monthly salary, giggled. "At least she tried. Remember when Jennifer brought that friend from her yoga class? The one who wore jeans." My cheeks burned. I kept my eyes forward, focusing on the altar, where flowers worth more than cars created a fairy tale backdrop. But their whispers continued. "The shoes are definitely Payless. You can tell by the way the heel is already starting to separate. Should we tell her about the safety pin showing on her hem?" "Safety pin?" I glanced down, mortified to see that. Yes, a small silver pin was visible where I'd made a last-minute repair that morning. My hands trembled as I tried to discreetly adjust the fabric. The ceremony began, and I tried to lose myself in the vows, in the beauty of 2 people committing their lives to each other. But all I could feel were eyes on my back, judging every thread of my outfit, every chip in my nail polish that I'd tried to touch up with white out. At the cocktail hour, I stood near a marble column, nursing a glass of champagne and trying to blend into the architecture. Groups of guests clustered around high-top tables, their laughter tinkling like the crystal they drank from. I watched Sarah across the room, seamlessly integrated into this world now, speaking to a group of women who looked like they'd stepped out of Vogue. "Excuse me." A server appeared at my elbow, not to offer me anything, but to ask me to move. "We need to set up the gift table here." Even the staff could tell I didn't belong. I found another corner, this one near a window overlooking Fifth Avenue. The city pulsed below, all those lives moving with purpose while I stood frozen in my discount dress, feeling smaller by the minute. "Oh my God, look at her standing there all alone," one of the women from earlier said to her companion as they passed. "It's actually sad. You'd think she'd at least try to blend in better." Maybe this is her trying, her friend replied, and they both laughed, the sound sharp as broken glass. I escaped to the bathroom, locking myself in a stall paneled with marble. That probably cost more than my father owed in debts. I sat on the closed toilet lid, my hands shaking as I scrolled through my phone. My bank app showed $1,847.53 in checking. My savings account had been emptied months ago. But then I navigated to another app, one I rarely opened. My cryptocurrency wallet. The number stared back at me, 127.4 Bitcoin. At current prices, that was just over $5.2 million. Nobody knew. Not Sarah. Not my parents. Nobody. I'd bought them years ago, back when Bitcoin was just a weird internet experiment trading for pennies. A computer science friend had convinced me to throw $100 at it, said it might be worth something someday. I'd forgotten about it until last year when I'd seen a news article about Bitcoin hitting 20,000. I'd nearly fainted when I recovered my old wallet and did the math, but I couldn't touch it. Every time I thought about selling, even a fraction, I saw Mom's face during chemo, heard Dad crying when he thought I was asleep, remembered my promise to myself that I'd find a way to take care of them without them ever, knowing the weight I carried. The money was my nuclear option, my absolute last resort. As long as I could keep working double shifts, as long as I could keep making minimum payments, as long as I could keep us afloat just one more month. A knock on the stall door startled me. Everything okay in there? Yes, sorry, just a moment. I stood up, smoothing my dress, tucking my phone away with its secret millions. Back at the reception, I found my place card at table 12, the table by the kitchen doors, where they put the obligatory invites and plus ones who didn't quite fit. An elderly couple sat to my left, the husband already asleep. To my right, a teenager played on his phone, clearly dragged here by his parents. The blonde woman from earlier sauntered past with a group of friends, all holding fresh drinks. She did an exaggerated double take when she saw me. Oh, you're still here. How? Dedicated. She turned to her friends. This is the girl I was telling you about? The one with the safety pin. They all turned to stare, their expressions ranging from amusement to pity. Where did you get your dress? One of them asked with false sweetness. I'm always looking for budget options. You know, for costume parties. The others tittered. It's vintage, I said quietly. The lie automatic. Oh, vintage. The blonde clapped her hands mockingly. From what era? The last season clearance. Era Miranda, stop, one of her friends said. But she was laughing too. You're terrible. I'm just being honest. I mean, look around. Miranda gestured at the opulent ballroom. This wedding probably cost $500,000. The least guests can do is respect the dress code. It's like showing up to the Met Gala in Forever 21. I should go, I said, standing up. Oh no, don't leave on our account, Miranda said. Stay, enjoy the free meal. I'm sure it's a nice treat. The words hung in the air like a slap. I felt every eye in the vicinity on me, waiting to see what I'd do. The teenager at my table had even looked up from his phone, sensing drama. You know what? I heard myself say, my voice surprisingly steady. You're absolutely right. This wedding is incredibly expensive. Beautiful, too. Miranda smirked, mistaking my calm for defeat. I continued. In fact, I'm curious, do you know exactly how much it cost? The venue rental, the flowers, the catering? Why? Miranda laughed. Are you planning your own wedding? Pro tip, City Hall is very affordable. Her friends laughed again, emboldened by my apparent passivity. Just curious, I said, pulling out my phone. Because I'd like to pay for it. All of it. The laughter stopped abruptly. What? Miranda's perfectly shaped eyebrows furrowed. The wedding, the whole thing. I'd like to pay for it. I looked around the ballroom with new eyes. What do you think? $500,000. 600,000 with the flowers. You're joking, one of her friends said. I don't joke about money. I turned to a passing server. Excuse me, could you please find the wedding coordinator? Tell her one of the guests would like to discuss covering the entire cost of today's event. The server looked confused but nodded, disappearing into the crowd. Miranda laughed, but it sounded forced now. This is ridiculous. You can't afford. She gestured at my dress. You can't even afford proper alterations. You're right. This dress is old. These shoes are from Payless. That is a safety pin in my hem. I met her eyes directly. But appearances can be deceiving. Isn't that what they say? The wedding coordinator appeared, a severe-looking woman in a black suit with an iPad clutched to her chest. I was told someone wanted to discuss the event billing. Yes, that would be me. I stood straighter. I'd like to pay for everything. The venue, the catering, the flowers, the band, whatever today's total is. The coordinator's eyes flicked over my outfit, and I saw the same dismissal I'd been seeing all day. Ma'am, this is a Plaza Hotel wedding. The costs are substantial, I'm sure. What's the total? She hesitated, then consulted her iPad. The complete event package, including venue, catering for 300 guests, floral arrangements, entertainment, and service charges, comes to $627,000. I heard several sharp intakes of breath around me. Perfect, I'll pay cash. Well, wire transfer, but same day, immediately. The coordinator's professional composure cracked slightly. Ma'am, I don't think you understand. I understand perfectly. I pulled up my banking app, the one connected to my crypto exchange account. Who should I make the transfer to? The ballroom had gone quiet around us. I could feel the weight of dozens of eyes, the rustle of whispers spreading outward like ripples in a pond. Miranda stood frozen, her mouth slightly open, her perfect lipstick suddenly looking garish. This is insane, she finally managed. You're lying. This is some kind of weird joke. Miranda, one of her friends, whispered urgently, what if she's not joking? The coordinator looked between us, clearly unsure how to proceed. Perhaps we should discuss this privately. No need. I'd already initiated the sale of 15 Bitcoin. At current prices, more than enough. The confirmation appeared on my screen. I just need the account information. Sarah appeared at my elbow, drawn by the commotion. Emma, what's going on? Your friend is pretending she can pay for my wedding, Miranda said, but her voice had lost its earlier confidence. Emma, Sarah looked at me, confusion clear on her face. It's a gift, I said simply. For the bride and groom. They shouldn't have to start their marriage in debt from one day of celebration. The coordinator, perhaps sensing this was escalating beyond normal drama, made a decision. If you'll come with me to the office, we can verify the transfer. Of course, I turned to Miranda and her friends. Excuse me, I need to go pay for this wedding. The one you thought I didn't belong at. As I followed the coordinator out of the ballroom, I heard the explosion of voices behind me. But I didn't look back. My shabby shoes clicked on the marble floor. My safety-pinned hem swayed with each step, and for the first time all day, I didn't care who noticed. The office was a shrine to old luxury wood paneling, leather chairs that probably cost more than most cars, oil paintings of stern-looking men who'd built empires. The coordinator sat behind a massive desk while another Plaza employee, someone from accounting, judging by his nervous energy, typed rapidly on a laptop. The account information, the coordinator said, sliding a paper across the desk. Her skepticism was palpable, but professionalism won out. I entered the numbers carefully, double-checking each digit. The transfer amount, $627,000. My finger hovered over the confirm button for just a moment, not from doubt, but from the weight of the moment. Then I pressed it. It'll take a few minutes to process, I said, leaning back in the leather chair. The accountant refreshed his screen obsessively. The coordinator maintained her poker face, though I caught her glancing at my safety pin. We waited in silence that felt like hours but was probably only 3 minutes. Oh my God, the accountant suddenly said. It's there. The full amount, it cleared. The coordinator's poker face finally cracked completely. She stared at me, then at the screen, then back at me. You actually ... paid for the wedding. Yes. I stood up, smoothing my old dress. Please make sure the bride and groom know it's a gift. They don't need to know who it's from if they don't want to. But ... who are you? The coordinator asked, abandoning all pretense of professional detachment. I thought about it for a moment. Who was I? The girl in the shabby dress who didn't belong? The daughter working double shifts to pay medical bills? The keeper of a digital fortune that felt more like numbers on a screen than real money? I'm just a +1, I said finally. Nobody's special. I left them in the office and walked back toward the ballroom. But I didn't go in. Instead, I stood in the doorway, watching the reception continue. The band played, couples danced, champagne flowed, life went on, oblivious to the small earthquake that had just occurred in the Plaza Hotel's accounting department. Sarah found me there. Emma, what just happened? Everyone's talking about. I need to go, I said, hugging her quickly. Enjoy the rest of the reception. But Emma, I was already walking away, my broken heel clicking on the marble. My safety pin probably showing, my head held high. Behind me, I could hear the murmur growing louder, spreading through the ballroom like wildfire. By tomorrow, everyone would know. The girl in the cheap dress who paid for an entire plaza wedding in cash. But tonight, I had a subway to catch. 3 transfers back to Brooklyn. Back to my small apartment with its stack of bills. Back to my morning shift at Marco's Diner. Back to my life, which looked exactly the same on the outside but had fundamentally shifted in some indefinable way. As I pushed through the gold-trimmed doors onto Fifth Avenue, the doorman nodded at me, the same man who'd barely acknowledged me on the way in. Word traveled fast at the plaza, apparently. The October air hit me like a awakening. I stood on the sidewalk, letting the city sounds wash over me, sirens and car horns and the endless hum of millions of lives in motion. My phone buzzed incessantly in my purse, but I didn't check it. Not yet. Instead, I walked to the subway entrance, my broken heel forcing an uneven gait. But I didn't care. For the first time in years, maybe ever, I felt the weight of other people's opinions slide off me like rain. The downtown 6 train pulled into the station just as I reached the platform. I squeezed into the crowded car, just another New Yorker in the Saturday night crush. A teenager offered me his seat, and I realized I must look as exhausted as I felt. I sat down gratefully, my fancy dress incongruous among the jeans and sneakers surrounding me. As the train pulled away from 59th Street, leaving the Upper East Side behind, I finally let myself think about what I'd just done. $600,000. Gone in an instant, transformed from digital numbers to a real-world impact. The bride and groom would wake up tomorrow to find their dream wedding had been a gift, not a debt. Was it foolish? Maybe. I still had my parents' bills, still had my responsibilities, but I also still had over 110 Bitcoin left, still had options I'd never had before. And more importantly, I had something money couldn't buy, the knowledge that I'd never again let someone make me feel small because of what I wore or where I came from. My phone buzzed again. This time I pulled it out. Dozens of texts, missed calls, social media notifications. The digital age moved fast. I scrolled through them absently until one caught my eye. It was from a number I didn't recognize. I'm the bride's cousin. I was at table 9. I saw everything. Thank you for what you did, but more importantly, thank you for how you handled those awful women. Money is impressive, but grace under pressure is priceless. James. I stared at the message as the train rocked through the tunnel. Then I deleted all the notifications, put my phone away, and closed my eyes. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges. I'd still have to figure out how to help my parents without destroying their pride. Still have to navigate this strange new reality where I was secretly wealthy but functionally broke. But tonight, as the train carried me home through the arteries of the city, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not rich, that was just numbers on a screen. Not vindicated, that was too petty. I felt free. The train screeched into 14th Street Union Square. More people pushed in, the car becoming a sardine can of humanity. My dress got stepped on, adding a dirty footprint to the safety pin and general shabbiness. I looked down at it and actually smiled. Tomorrow, I'd go to work at Marco's, serve coffee and eggs to truckers and nurses getting off night shift. I'd come home to my bills and responsibilities. But I'd also start really planning how to use this windfall to build something better. Not just for me, but for my family, maybe even for others who felt invisible in rooms full of people too busy looking at price tags to see worth. As we plunged deeper into Brooklyn, leaving Manhattan's lights behind, I thought about Miranda's face when the coordinator had asked for the account information. The shock, the disbelief, the crumbling of her worldview where people's value could be determined by their outfit. It shouldn't have felt good, but it did. Human, sometimes. Petty, absolutely. But after years of swallowing pride and shrinking myself to fit into spaces that didn't want me, I'd finally pushed back. Not with words or anger, but with the one language everyone at that wedding understood perfectly: money. The train pulled into my stop. I stood, steadying myself as the doors opened, and stepped onto the familiar platform. The station was grimy, perpetually under construction. Nothing like the gleaming stops near the plaza, but it was mine, part of my world, my reality. I climbed the stairs slowly, my broken heel making each step treacherous. At the top, Brooklyn spread out before me: bodegas and check cashing places, 24-hour laundromats and corner stores with cats in the windows. My neighborhood, where nobody cared about designer labels and everyone was just trying to make it to tomorrow. Emma, that you, honey? Mrs. Chen, no relation to Sarah, called from her spot outside the corner store. She was there every night, had been for 20 years, watching the neighborhood with sharp eyes. You look fancy. Hot date. Just a wedding, I said, pausing to chat. This was our ritual. Must have been some wedding. You look tired. It was, eventful. She studied me with those knowing eyes. Good eventful or bad eventful? I thought about it. Both, neither. Just, eventful. She nodded, as if this made perfect sense. You want lottery ticket. Feeling lucky. I almost laughed at the irony. Not tonight, Mrs. Chen. I think I've used up my luck for a while. Luck is like the subway, she said, already turning back to her newspaper. Always another one coming. I walked the last 2 blocks slowly, savoring the familiar sights and sounds. My apartment building loomed ahead, 5 stories of brick held together by paint and hope. Mr. Rodriguez was on the stoop, smoking. Despite his wife's constant warnings about his health, Emma, you clean up nice, he said, then frowned. What happened to your shoe? Long story, I said, climbing the steps carefully. Those are the best kind, he called after me. 4 flights up, my apartment door waited with its 3 locks and peeling paint. I let myself in, immediately kicking off the traitorous heels. The apartment was exactly as I'd left it, small, cramped, filled with second-hand furniture and first-rate memories. I hung the navy dress carefully in the closet. Tomorrow I'd take out the safety pin, maybe even get the hem properly fixed, or maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I'd keep it exactly as it was, a reminder of the night I stopped apologizing for not fitting. My laptop sat on the kitchen table, and I opened it, checking my cryptocurrency wallet one more time. The number was smaller now, but still staggering. I did quick math. Even after tonight's expense, I had enough to pay off my parents' debts, buy them a house, ensure mom got the best treatment, set up college funds for my young cousins, and still have enough left to live comfortably for the rest of my life. But I wouldn't do it all at once. That would raise questions, create problems, maybe even damage the pride that kept my family going through the hardest times. No, it would have to be strategic, careful. Anonymous gifts, mysterious scholarships, a new job that paid surprisingly well. I'd become a secret fairy godmother, working behind the scenes to lift the weight without anyone knowing where the help came from. My phone rang. Sarah, Emma, what the hell just happened? The entire reception is in chaos. Miranda is having a meltdown. The bride is crying happy tears and everyone wants to know who you are and why you. It's late, I said gently. We can talk tomorrow. Tomorrow. Emma, you just dropped over $500,000 on a wedding for people you don't even know. I knew you, I said. That was enough. Silence on the other end. Then, quietly, who are you, Emma? Really? I looked around my little apartment, at my work uniform hanging on the door, at the bills on the table, at the laptop showing impossible numbers. I'm exactly who I've always been, I said. I just had a really good night at the dog track a few years ago, she laughed, knowing I was deflecting but letting it go. Will you at least tell me why? The real reason. I thought about Miranda's sneer, about the coordinator's dismissal, about 1,000 tiny cuts from people who thought they could measure my worth by my outfit. But that wasn't the real reason, was it? Because I could, I said finally. Because that bride and groom deserved to start their life without debt. Because generosity shouldn't require a designer dress. Because ... I paused, finding the truth. Because I've spent so long feeling powerless. Tonight, I remembered what power actually means, which is the ability to help. Nothing more, nothing less. We said goodnight, promising to meet for coffee soon, somewhere normal, somewhere us. After I hung up, I sat in my kitchen for a long time, listening to the sounds of Brooklyn through my open window. Music from someone's party, dogs barking, the eternal symphony of traffic. My phone buzzed with more messages. The news was spreading fast, as news does in small social circles that think they're bigger than they are. By morning, the story would have grown, twisted, become legend. The mystery woman of the plaza wedding. I could already imagine the embellishments. Maybe I'd become an eccentric billionaire, or a crypto entrepreneur, or someone settling an old score. Let them wonder. The truth was both simpler and more complicated than any story they could invent. I was just Emma Martinez from Brooklyn, waitress and daughter, keeper of digital secrets and payer of impossible bills. I made myself a cup of Bodega tea bag in a chipped muggen stood by my window, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, a bride and groom were dancing at their reception, free from the weight of wedding debt. Somewhere, Miranda was probably still processing what had happened, her worldview shaken like a snow globe. Somewhere, my parents were sleeping, unaware that their daughter had just spent more money in an hour than they'd see in a decade. Tomorrow would come with all its complications. I'd have to be careful now, smart about how I deployed this resource. The Bitcoin wouldn't last forever if I kept making grand gestures. And there were real problems that needed solving, my family's struggles, my own future, maybe even bigger issues if I was brave enough to tackle them. But tonight had taught me something valuable. For years, I'd carried this secret wealth like a burden, afraid to use it, afraid of what it meant, afraid of how it would change things. I'd let myself shrink, accepted my place at the margins, believed that my worth was tied to my circumstances. No more. I raised my chipped mug in a toast, to no one, to everyone, to the city that never stopped moving. To safety pins, I said out loud, laughing at the absurdity of it all. 2 cheap shoes and expensive gestures, 2 being exactly who we are, and never apologizing for it again. The city lights twinkled in response, and somewhere in Brooklyn, Emma Martinez, waiter's daughter, secret millionaire, and proud owner of a safety-pinned dress, finally felt like herself. End of chapter 1. Pause here. Awaiting your command, OK, to continue with chapter 2. Tent, novamente gokejita chapter 2. The aftermath of alarm pierced through my skull at 4:47 a.m., same as every Sunday morning. For a moment, I lay in bed, wondering if last night had been some elaborate stress dream. Then I saw the navy dress draped over my chair, the broken heels on the floor, and my phone still lighting up with notifications I'd been ignoring since midnight. Marco's Diner opened at 5:30 a.m. sharp. And Tony didn't care if you'd been at the Plaza Hotel or the Planet Mars the night before. I dragged myself to the shower, letting the lukewarm water wake me up. My work uniform felt strange after last night's dress, but also comforting in its familiarity. Black polo, black pants, non-slip shoes that had never once betrayed me. The subway was nearly empty this early, just a few night shift workers heading home and the earliest of early risers. I found a seat easily, and finally, reluctantly, checked my phone. 147 text messages. 83 missed calls. My social media had exploded: friend requests from people I'd never met, messages from numbers I didn't recognize. I scrolled through quickly, catching fragments. Is this Emma Martinez? I'm a reporter with the Daily News. Hi. I was at the wedding last night and wanted to reach out. Emma, this is Miranda. We need to talk about what happened. I deleted them all without reading further. But one message, sent at 3 a.m., made me pause. It was from the bride, Jessica Chun Warner, Sarah's new sister-in-law Emma. I don't have words for what you did. David and I are in shock. We'd love to take you to dinner to thank you properly. Please don't disappear on us. Jess, I saved that one. The rest went into the digital void. Marco's Diner sat on the corner of Flatbush and Sterling, a Brooklyn institution that had survived gentrification through sheer stubbornness and the best coffee in 3 neighborhoods. The neon sign flickered as always, the hour threatening to go dark but never quite giving up. You're late, Tony growled as I pushed through the back entrance. He stood at the grill, already prepping for the morning rush, his massive frame draped in a grease-stained apron. I checked the clock: 5:23 a.m. I'm 7 minutes early. Early is late in this business. But he was grinning under his perpetual 5 o'clock shadow. Tony had hired me 3 years ago when I'd been desperate, no questions asked, and had become something between a boss and an uncle. You look like hell. Wild night, something like that. I tied my apron and started the coffee machines. Sunday mornings meant the churchgoers, the runners, the families with kids who woke up too early. Our busiest day, that wedding you went to. Tony flipped eggs with practiced precision. How'd it go? You meet a rich man, ready to quit this place. I laughed, checking the coffee levels. Not exactly. The first customers started trickling in. At 5:30 on the dot. Mrs. Patterson, who'd been coming here for 30 years and always ordered the same thing. Jorge and his crew from the night shift at the hospital. The runners who pretended their post-jog pancakes were healthy. I fell into the rhythm gratefully. Pour coffee, take orders, smile, dodge around Lucy, the other morning waitress in our practiced dance. This was real. Solid, uncomplicated. No one here cared about designer dresses or plaza weddings. They wanted their eggs over easy and their coffee hot. Emma, Mr. Kozlov waved from his usual booth. My favorite waitress. You have glow today. Something good happen. I refilled his coffee, noticing my hands were perfectly steady despite everything. Just happy to be here, Mr. K. Is good to be happy where you are, he said in his thick Russian accent. Most people, they always looking somewhere else. You pour coffee like meditation. Is beautiful. It was such a strange compliment that I actually stopped for a moment. Here was a man who'd fled the Soviet Union with nothing, built a small empire of dry cleaning stores, and he was calling my coffee pouring beautiful. Thank you, I said, meaning it. The morning rush hit around 7 a.m. Every table full, a line at the counter, the kitchen in controlled chaos. I moved on autopilot, muscle memory taking over. Table 3 wanted extra bacon. Table 7 was gluten-free. The couple at table 5 was fighting in whispers and would need separate checks. I was so focused that I almost missed him. Almost. James Warner sat alone at table 12, looking like he'd stepped out of a different world. Even in casual clothes, dark jeans, a simple button-down irradiated that particular brand of understated wealth. The kind that didn't need logos or flash, just quality that spoke for itself. He was the one who'd texted me last night, the bride's cousin. I approached with my coffee pot, professional smile in place. Coffee. He looked up, and I saw the moment of recognition. His eyes green with gold flecks widen slightly. It is you. I wasn't sure you look different. Uniforms have that effect. I filled his cup without being asked. Everyone needed coffee at Marco's. What can I get you? Double quotes. He seemed genuinely flustered, which was oddly endearing. I actually came to find you. Sarah told me you worked here. I hope that's not too stalkerish. Depends on why you're stalking. I kept my tone light, but I was aware of Tony watching from the kitchen. I've got other tables, so of course. Sorry, I'll have ... He glanced at the menu like he'd never seen diner food before. What's good? Everything. Tony would kill me if I said otherwise. What would you have? It was such a simple question, but something about the way he asked it genuinely curious. Not condescending made me actually consider it. Sunday special. Blueberry pancakes, scrambled eggs, extra crispy bacon, coffee black, orange juice on the side. Then that's what I'll have. I wrote it down, started to move away, but he spoke again. Emmett is Emma, right? What you did last night ... is between me and my bank account, I said firmly. I'll get your order in. I spent the next 20 minutes pointedly serving other tables, refilling coffee, clearing plates, but I could feel him watching. Not in a creepy way, just attentive, like he was trying to solve a puzzle. When I brought his food, he was writing in a small notebook. The handwriting was precise, architectural. He put it away quickly when I approached. Thank you. He surveyed the feast I'd delivered. This looks amazing. Tony's secret is butter. Butter in everything. Probably shortening your lifespan with every bite. Worth it. He took a bite of pancake, and his eyes closed in appreciation. Oh wow. Okay. I get it now. Get what? Why you stay here? He gestured around the diner. I mean, after last night, I assumed. But this is real, isn't it? This matters. I should have walked away. I had other customers. But something about his tone made me pause. Everything matters if you let it. See, that's what I've been thinking about all night. He set down his fork. What you did it wasn't about the money, was it? It was about power. Who has it, who doesn't, and what we do with it when we get it. You're overthinking pancakes, I said, but he'd hit closer to home than I liked. Maybe. But I saw Miranda's face. I've known her for years, she's my cousin's husband's cousin. We run in the same circles. And I've never seen anyone shut her down like that, without raising your voice, without making a scene, just ... fact. Here's what I can do, deal with it, order up. Tony's voice boomed from the kitchen. Emma, we got tickets backing up. I have to go, I said, grateful for the escape. But James pulled out a business card, slid it across the table. I know you don't owe anyone explanations, but I'd love to talk more. Not about the money, I don't care about that. About everything else. I pocketed the card without looking at it and went back to work. The rest of my shift blurred by. James left around 9 a.m., putting down a $100 bill for a $30 breakfast. I tried to make change, but he was already gone. The other waitresses would split the tip house rules for anything over 50%. Around 11 a.m., as the church crowd descended, my phone started buzzing insistently. I ignored it until my break, then stepped into the alley behind the diner to check. Sarah had sent a dozen texts, each more frantic than the last. The final one just said, "Check the NY Post website now." Against my better judgment, I did. The headline hit me like a physical blow. Mystery woman drops $627,000 on Plaza wedding identity revealed. Below was a photo clearly taken at the wedding. Me, in my navy dress, safety pin visible, talking to the coordinator. But it was the subheadline that made my blood run cold. Brooklyn waitress Emma Martinez shocks Upper East Side elite with massive cash gift, but where did the money come from? The article was exactly as bad as I'd feared. They'd found my LinkedIn barely used, my old Columbia records incomplete. Even a quote from a source close to the situation, probably Miranda, expressing concern about the legitimacy of such a large cash transaction from someone of modest means. Shit, I said to the dumpsters and stray cats. Shit, shit, shit. Language, Tony said from the doorway. I hadn't heard him come out, though I'm guessing whatever's on that phone deserves it. I showed him the headline. He whistled low. That's you. You gave away 600 grand. It's complicated. Kid, I've been around long enough to know that nothing involving that much money is anything but complicated. He lit a cigarette, offering me one. I didn't smoke but took it anyway, needing something to do with my hands. You in trouble? I don't think so. Maybe. I don't know. You need to disappear for a while. I got a cousin, upstate. No. I was touched by the offer. No. I just ... I need to think. Well, think inside. Lunch rush is starting, and Lucy's about to stab someone with a fork if you don't get back in there. I worked through lunch on autopilot, my mind racing. The article hadn't mentioned Bitcoin, thank God, but it was only a matter of time before someone started digging deeper. I needed a story, a plan, something. During a brief lull, I called my parents. Mom answered on the second ring. Mia, how was the wedding? You meet anyone nice? It was fine, Ma. Listen, if anyone calls asking about me reporters or anyone strange, just hang up. Okay, reporters. Why would Dima? What did you do? Nothing bad, just ... Trust me, okay. Don't talk to anyone about me. Emma, Maria Martinez. You tell me right now, I'll explain later. I promise. Just please, don't answer any questions about me. I hung up before she could interrogate me further. The afternoon dragged on. Every time the door chimed, I expected to see reporters, cops, IRS agents. I didn't even know what I was afraid of, exactly, but it was always just regular customers, oblivious to the storm brewing in my life. Around 4 p.m., as my shift was ending, she walked in. Miranda looked different in daylight, without the armor of designer clothes and perfect lighting. She wore sunglasses despite the gray October day, yoga pants, and an oversized sweater. She looked ... human. She spotted me immediately and made her way over, ignoring Lucy's attempt to seat her. We need to talk, she said without preamble. I'm working. Your shift ends in 10 minutes. I asked at the counter. Of course she had. Please, just ... please. Something in her voice made me nod. There's a coffee shop next door. Give me 15 minutes. She waited for me at Bean There. Done that, yes, really. Hunched over a latte like it might provide answers. I'd changed out of my uniform into jeans and a sweater, hair still smelling like diner grease. No safety pin today, she said as I sat down. Fresh out, we sat in awkward silence. Up close, I could see she'd been crying. Her perfect makeup from last night was replaced by puffy eyes and blotchy skin. I couldn't sleep, she finally said. I kept thinking about what you did. What you said. How you just ... She made a helpless gesture. Who does that? Who just drops $500,000 to make a point? Someone who could afford to. But that's just it, too couldn't. Could you? That dress. Those shoes. She pulled out her phone, showing me the Post article. They're saying you're a waitress. That you make maybe $30K a year. So either you robbed a bank, or what? Or I've been an even bigger idiot than I thought. She pulled off her sunglasses, revealing red-rimmed eyes. I called 17 people last night. 17. All from the wedding. You know what they all said? That I got what I deserved. That I was cruel, classist, a bully. I said nothing. The thing is, they're right. I saw you last night and I just I categorized you. Poor girl, wrong clothes, doesn't belong. It made me feel better about myself, I guess, superior, like I'd earned my place there and you hadn't. You don't need to. Yes, I do. She leaned forward. Because here's what's killing me. You could have destroyed me. Really destroyed me. Someone with that kind of money. You could have made sure I never got invited to anything again. Could have ruined my husband's business connections. Could have made my life hell. But you didn't. You just paid for a wedding and left. I wasn't trying to hurt anyone, I said quietly. Just make a point. Well, you made it. She laughed, but it sounded more like a sob. I haven't felt this small since middle school. And the worst part, I did it to myself. We sat in silence again. Around us, the coffee shop hummed with normal Sunday afternoon activity. People on laptops, friends catching up, a couple on what looked like a first date. Normal life, proceeding normally. So what now? She asked. Are you going to tell me where the money came from? Because the internet is going crazy with theories. Everything from secret heiress to mob connections. Does it matter? I guess not. She stood up, gathering her things. For what it's worth, I'm sorry. Not just because you turned out to be rich, that would be missing the point again. I'm sorry because I was cruel to another human being for no reason except that I could. She started to leave, then turned back. That couple, my cousin and her husband, they're good people. They'd been saving for years for that wedding, took out loans. What you did, it means they can start their life together free. That's worth more than putting me in my place. After she left, I sat in the coffee shop for a long time, watching the sun set over Brooklyn. My phone buzzed constantly, but I didn't check it. Tomorrow, I'd have to deal with the fallout, the attention, the questions, the investigations into my sudden wealth. I'd have to figure out how to explain a waitress paying for a plaza wedding without revealing the cryptocurrency fortune I'd been sitting on, but for now, I just sat and thought about power and kindness, about armor made of designer clothes and armor made of indifference, about the strange turns life takes, and how $100 investment in fake internet money had led me here, to this moment, to this choice between hiding and standing tall. My phone rang. James's name appeared on the screen. I must have saved his number without realizing it. I saw the article, he said without preamble when I answered. Are you okay? I don't know yet. Do you need anything? Lawyer, PR person, bodyguard. Despite everything, I laughed. Do I need a bodyguard? I don't know. How many more plaza weddings were you planning to pay for? Just the one, I think. Then you're probably safe. His voice grew serious. But really, if you need help navigating this, why? I asked. Why do you care what happens to the weird waitress who crashed your cousin's wedding? You didn't crash anything. You elevated it. Turned a society wedding into something people will talk about for decades. And, double quotes, he paused. And because I've been surrounded by wealthy people my entire life, and I've never seen anyone use money like that, like a scalpel instead of a club. It was surgical, precise, kind of beautiful, actually. You're romanticizing public humiliation, maybe. Or maybe I'm recognizing someone who understands that money is just a tool, and it's what you build with, it that matters. I thought about that as I walked home through the gathering dusk. Brooklyn was coming alive with its Sunday night energy families, heading home from weekend outings. Restaurants filling up, music spilling from open windows. My neighborhood, my people, my life. Back in my apartment, I finally faced my phone, properly. Hundreds of notifications, dozens of voicemails. I deleted most without reading, but saved a few. Jessica, the bride, had left 3 messages, each more grateful than the last. My old Columbia advisor had reached out, surprisingly supportive, and there were several offers from financial advisors, clearly smelling opportunity. I opened my laptop and checked my Bitcoin wallet. Still there, still real, still enough to change everything if I let it. But change into what? I could quit the diner tomorrow, move to Manhattan, buy my way into the same circles that had rejected me last night. But what would be the point? To become another Miranda, judging people by their shoes. No, if last night had taught me anything, it was that real power came from being exactly who you were, just with better resources. I didn't need to change my life completely, I needed to enhance it, strategically and carefully. I made a list, set up anonymous trust for parents, medical bills and debts, create scholarship fund for Columbia dropouts with family obligations, Buy the building before the landlord sells to developers. Save neighbors from eviction. Keep working at Marcos for now. Get a really good lawyer. Buy better shoes, but keep the safety pin dress. It was a start. Tomorrow, I'd begin the delicate work of deploying wealth without destroying the life I'd built. Tonight, I had one more thing to do. I called Jessica. Emma. Oh my God, I'm so glad you called. We're still in shock. I can't believe I'm glad. I could help. I cut in gently. But I need you to do me a favor. When people ask canned, they will ask. Tell them it was a wedding gift from an old friend. Nothing more, nothing less. Of course. But can we at least take you to dinner? To say thank you. I thought about it. Next Sunday. But not somewhere fancy. There's a place in Brooklyn, Marco's Diner. Best pancakes in the city. Bring your husband. We'll talk a diner. But trust me, you'll love it. And Jessica, congratulations on your marriage. Focus on that. The rest is just noise. After we hung up, I sat in my small apartment, surrounded by the life I'd built penny by penny. Tomorrow, the circus would really begin. Reporters would dig deeper, theories would multiply, my carefully separate worlds would collide. But I was ready. I had my armor. No, not designer clothes or fancy degrees, but the knowledge that I'd chosen kindness when I could have chosen cruelty, generosity when I could have chosen revenge, and most importantly, I'd learned that true power wasn't about fitting in, it was about standing out, safety pin and all. I made one last call before bed. Tony answered on the second ring. Boss, I'm going to need next Sunday off. I'm bringing some friends to the diner for breakfast. You don't work Sundays anymore, remember? I changed the schedule last month. Oh, right. Then I'm coming in as a customer. With friends. Rich friends. Tell Lucy to be nice. Lucy's never nice. That's why people love her. He paused. You good kid. All this craziness in the papers. I'm good, Tony, really good. All right, then, see you tomorrow. Don't be late. Early is on time. I recited. Now you're learning. I hung up smiling. Tomorrow, I'd wake up at 4:47 a.m., put on my uniform, and serve coffee to truckers and nurses and anyone else who needed caffeine and kindness before dawn. I'd pour coffee, like meditation, as Mr. Kozlov said. And if anyone asked about the Plaza wedding, about the mystery woman with the safety pin who'd shocked society with unexpected generosity, I'd just smile and offer them more coffee. After all, I was just a waitress from Brooklyn. Anything else was just noise. End of Chapter 2. Pause here. Awaiting your command. Okay, to continue with Chapter 3. Tenter Novamat Agudertark. 3. The unraveling. The reporters found my parents first. I was halfway through the Monday morning rush when my phone exploded with calls from my mother. 10 missed calls in 3 minutes, never a good sign. I excused myself from Table 8's order and stepped into the kitchen. Mia, there are news vans outside the house. Mom's voice was high, panicked. They're asking about you and some wedding in money. Emma, what is happening? My stomach dropped. I'd been naive to think I could contain this. Mom, listen to me. Don't answer the door. Don't talk to anyone. I'm coming over. But your father needs to get to his job site. Tell Dad to stay home. I'll explain everything, I promise. Tony took one look at my face and jerked his head toward the door. Go, Lucy, and I got this. I'd never been more grateful for Tony's no-questions management style. I grabbed my jacket and headed for the subway, already calling the one person I'd hoped to avoid. James answered on the first ring. Emma, I saw the news trucks heading into Brooklyn. They found your family. You offered help yesterday. Were you serious? Completely. What do you need? A lawyer, a good one. And maybe that bodyguard you mentioned. I'm sending a car to pick you up. Where are you? Pride Ward with practicality. Practicality 1. Brooklyn. Bridge. City Hall stop. I'm heading to my parents' place in Sunset Park. Driver will be there in 10 minutes. Black Mercedes. License plate ending in 247. His name is Carl. James, we'll figure out the lawyer situation. Just get to your parents safely. The ride to Sunset Park, in the Mercedes, felt surreal. Carl navigated through Brooklyn traffic with professional calm while I watched familiar streets pass by through tinted windows. My phone rang numbers I didn't answer, texts from people I hadn't heard from in years, suddenly interested in reconnecting. The scene outside my parents' house was worse than I'd imagined. 3 news vans clogged their narrow street, reporters clustered on the sidewalk, held back only by the fact that this was still private property. Neighbors peered from windows and stoops, getting the show of their lives. Back entrance, Carl suggested, already turning down the alley. You've done this before. More times than you'd think, miss. We slipped through the back gate and into my childhood home through the kitchen. The house smelled like cafe con leche and the pine candle Mom always burned scents that meant safety, family, home. Emma, Mom engulfed me in a hug, then pulled back to study my face. What did you do? Why are they saying you gave away hundreds of thousands of dollars? Dad stood by the window, peering through the curtains at the circus outside. He looked older than when I'd seen him last week. The stress of his failing business etched in new lines. Mia, please tell us you didn't do something illegal. It wasn't illegal. I sat at the kitchen table, the same one where I'd done homework and eaten countless meals, but it's complicated. I told them about the wedding, leaving out the cruel details of Miranda's behavior. Just that I'd attended a fancy event and made a generous gift to the bride and groom. Their faces went through a journey of confusion, disbelief, and finally, suspicion. Where would you get that kind of money? Mom asked. We know what you make at the diner. We know you've been helping with the bills, ... Double quotes, this was the moment I'd dreaded. The careful fiction I'd maintained that I was just scraping by like them was about to crumble. Remember a few years ago when I was really into computers? When I spent that summer learning about cryptocurrency, they nodded slowly. I'd been obsessed, reading white papers and forums late into the night. I bought some Bitcoin. As an experiment. $100 worth. I took a breath. It's worth a lot more now. How much more? Dad's voice was quiet. I pulled out my phone, showed them the wallet balance, watched their faces change as they processed the number. Mom crossed herself. Dad sat down heavily. $5 million. Mom whispered. You've had $5 million this whole time. I was going to tell you. I was waiting for the right moment. Dad's voice rose. Emma, I've been killing myself trying to save the business. Your mother skipped treatments because we couldn't afford the good insurance, and you were sitting on millions. I knew you'd react like this. The words burst out. I knew you'd be too proud to take it. Every time I tried to bring up helping more, you shut me down. Said you didn't raise me to be your caretaker. That's different than knowing you could have helped but chose not to. Louise, Mom put a hand on his arm, but he shook it off. No, Maria. Our daughter let us struggle while she played poor. Let you suffer. I never let Mom suffer. I stood up, matching his volume. I paid for every treatment I could without making you suspicious. You think the hospital suddenly got generous with payment plans? You think that specialists just happened to have a grant program that covered Mom's surgery? That was me. It was me. The room went silent except for the muffled sounds of reporters outside. What? Mom sank into a chair. I've been paying what I could, secretly, setting up fake programs, anonymous donations. Because I knew you'd never take it if you knew it came from me. You lied to us, Dad said, but the heat had gone out of his voice. I protected your pride. There's a difference, is there? He looked at me like I was a stranger. My daughter, the millionaire. Playing dress-up as a waitress while her family drowns. That's not fair. He laughed bitterly. You want to talk about fair? A knock at the door interrupted us. Through the kitchen window, I could see a woman in a sharp suit standing at the back door, looking impatient. That'll be the lawyer, I said. James sent her. James, Mom's eyes sharpened. Who is James? A friend? Maybe. I don't know. Can we deal with one crisis at a time? The lawyer, Patricia Williams, was everything I wasn't: polished, professional, radiating competence. She took in the family drama with professional detachment and got straight to business. First things first, no one talks to reporters. Not a word, not even no comment. She handed out business cards. Anyone contacts you, you refer them to me. This is insane, Dad muttered, but he took the card. Second, we need to control the narrative. Emma, the fact that you've been secretly wealthy while working a minimum wage job is ... unusual. It's raising red flags. People are speculating about everything from money laundering to secret inheritance. It's cryptocurrency, I said. I bought it cheap, it went up. Simple. Nothing about this is simple. Patricia pulled out an iPad. I've already got my team researching. The good news is, your story checks out. The bad news is, it's weird enough that people won't stop digging. We need to get ahead of this. How? Exclusive interview. Control the story. present you as the humble millionaire who chose to keep working because of values, not deception. American dream stuff. Absolutely not. The idea of more attention made my skin crawl. Then you'll be at the mercy of whatever narrative the tabloids create. Your choice. My phone buzzed. Sarah, texting frantically. Oh my God, Emma, the whole U.S. is talking about you. Miranda's husband is threatening to sue for defamation. Call me. Great. Just great. There might be another problem, I said, showing Patricia the text. She sighed. Of course, there is. All right, let's prioritize. Parents safe from reporters check? Defamation, Threadtile, handle it. Your cryptocurrency holdings, we need to get you a financial advisor yesterday, and Emma. She looked at me seriously. You need to decide what you want your life to look like now. Because your old life, the anonymous waitress, that's over. She left after extracting promises that we'd stay inside and refer all inquiries to her. The reporters eventually gave up, though one van remained. Hoping for a glimpse of the Bitcoin waitress, as the Post had dubbed me. The house felt smaller with the weight of truth in it. Mom made more coffee her solution to everything while Dad stood at the window like a guard. None of us knew what to say. Finally, Mom broke the silence. The specialist, Dr. Ramirez, that was you. I nodded. The payment plan that let us keep the house. Me. The mysterious bonus Louise got last Christmas that saved the business for 3 more months. Also me. She was crying now, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. Mia, why didn't you tell us? Because Dad would have made you give it back. Because you would have felt like failures. Because the only way I could help was in secret. We are failures, Dad said quietly. What kind of parents let their child carry this burden alone? The kind who raised me to be strong enough to carry it. I went to him, put my hand on his shoulder. Dad, you taught me that money doesn't define us. That work has dignity regardless of the paycheck. You think I kept working at Marco's for show? I kept working because you taught me the value of honest work. He turned to face me, and I saw he was crying too. My father, who'd built buildings with his bare hands, who'd never shown weakness in front of his children, was crying. I'm sorry, Mia, it's a lot to process. I know. We stood there, the three of us, in the kitchen where I'd grown up. Outside, the remaining news van waited for drama. But inside, we were just a family trying to understand how everything had changed in an instant. My phone rang. James, Patricia, filled me in, he said. How are you holding up? Define holding up. Fair enough. Listen, I know this is terrible timing, but there's something else. Miranda's husband isn't just threatening to sue, he's asking questions about your crypto holdings. His lawyer is very interested in when you bought them and how you've reported them. Is that a problem? Depends. Have you been paying taxes on your holdings? My blood ran cold. I'd never sold any Bitcoin before yesterday. Never had to report anything, but now, I need an accountant, I said. A really good one. Already on it. Can you meet tomorrow? My office, away from the cameras. Yes, thank you. I paused. Why are you helping me? Really, because someone should. Because you're in over your head through no fault of your own. Because double quotes, he hesitated. Because I've watched people with money destroy each other for sport my whole life. What you did was the opposite of that. It deserves protecting. After we hung up, I found my parents in the living room, huddled together on the couch. They looked smaller, somehow, or maybe I was just seeing them clearly for the first time in years. What happens now? Mom asked. I don't know, I admitted. I have meetings tomorrow. Lawyers, accountants. We'll figure it out. Dad looked up. After everything, you still want our help. You're my parents. Of course I want your help. Even though we're too proud. Too stubborn. Especially because you're too proud and stubborn. Where do you think I got it from? That earned me a small smile. We ordered Chinese food. None of us felt like cooking and ate in front of the TV, carefully avoiding any news channels. It felt almost normal, except for the undercurrent of change running through everything. $5 million, Mom said, suddenly, apropos of nothing. My daughter has $5 million. I corrected, I spent some of it. You know, on the wedding thing. The wedding thing, Dad repeated, shaking his head. Only you would call spending $600,000 the wedding thing. What would you have done? I asked. If someone treated you that way,